Today's program is super important. It's important to everybody, to parents, to children, big brother, big sister, teachers, the whole society. It's about children who watch pornography. Is your child on pornography? I know immediately many people, no sir, my children are not on pornography. You might be very surprised. The average US statistic says that by 18, 90% of boys and almost 80% of females have watched pornography to varying degrees. I have no reason to think it's different in Jamaica. In fact, in Jamaica, we have added problems in terms of children who watch or listen to pornography. And, on many programs when I deal with pornography, I remind people that pornography is not just something you watch. It is also audio. And one of the problems we're dealing with in Jamaica is that on many of our streets, pornography, raw pornography, is played in the dancehall music every day. And so a significant portion of our children are exposed to pornography in audio form every day. It's also on the buses. The children travel on the buses and they're listening to pornography. So, is your child on pornography? Many of us like to defend and protect our kids. They seem so innocent. But our kids are very savvy. They understand how to hide these things. And so we want to explore that topic a bit because porn is very dangerous. I want to start by saying that many parents and teachers and adults in general do not realize how dangerous pornography is. First, most of us don't even realize that one can be addicted to pornography. Many of our kids are becoming addicted to pornography. In fact, many of the terrible crimes that are now being committed, I read this one where in the Manchester area, a man, a deacon of a church, killed a 25-year-old girl, stuffed her in an igloo. We all know of the bodies that have been burnt, sexually used and then burned, raped. We know of this girl who was caustic soda was poured on her. Some time ago, there was a little girl, 9-year-old, and it's alleged it's a 13-year-old boy who did the murder, sexually used her and then did the murder. So pornography is dangerous. It can become addictive one. And when you become addicted to pornography, it affects you. It's just like when you become addicted to cocaine or any of the drugs. It causes certain chemicals in your mind to become overactive, to become in demand by the brain, and soon you're not able to come off the pornography. In fact, these kinds of addictions, they demand more and more of the substance, the addictive substance. As a result, pornography is put into the category of life-controlling behavior. So it can reach a stage where it controls your life. I've read of persons who have husbands who are so addicted to pornography that they're now unable to do a full day's work. Think of it. You're married to a man, he gets fired from his job because all he can do is pornography. All he can do is look at porn. He doesn't want to go to work. It's all about porn. It gets worse when children get addicted early. In the first stage, they might not see much effect, but eventually it begins to affect their schoolwork, and then sometimes they get driven to do the heinous crimes you've heard of. Because you see, explained in our spiritual terms, it is a demonic possession. It's a demonic possession, and it often drives people to do things they never believed they would do. Some of these young girls are being killed because after these men have raped them, used them, and realize they're now in trouble with the law, they attempt to kill the kids in order to cover their tracks. That's why some of them are killed. You don't want your child going into this monster. But it's very possible. Your child can go into this monster. So how do we stop it, parents? The first thing you need to do is realize how dangerous pornography is. I think of a lot of Jamaican parents take pornography very lightly. We don't care. We honestly think, well, them all see it, so it no matter. They see it as a harmless distraction. Pornography is not a harmless distraction. It's a dangerous, life-controlling, demon-possessing behavior. It can lead to grave consequences. That's the last thing we want. A while ago, I mentioned that it can drive people into rape, murder. It can also let your child eventually take up sexually deviant behaviors which are not in keeping with what most Jamaicans see as acceptable sexual practice. It can drive them that direction. That's why a lot of men nowadays are hooked on child pornography. They're hooked on children. A lot of grown men, all they want are little girls. That's what they want. They do not want big women anymore because their addiction has taken so much control that their sexual behavior has become deviant. So here it is. That's not where we want our children to go. But we're facing a massive monster, and we have to work out together how we're going to deal with it. So first, recognize the danger. 2, parents. I keep telling parents, the biggest way to help our kids is to set the right example. Too many of us parents are watching pornography in front of the children, and we want to stay in the living room and watch nastiness, and then we drive the parents, go in the room, man, go in the room. And the kids are behind the curtain or behind the couch, you never know, watching it. And you don't know, when the movie halfway, you catch them and say, hey boy, I never tell you to go in your room. Come on now, parents. We have to change our own lives. We're destroying our next generation, our future. So with one hand, we're nurturing the kids, and with the next hand, we're tearing down our children and destroying them. So let us first change our behavior. Let me show you how dangerous it is when we don't. So you go on your tablet, parents, mommy and daddy or mommy, whoever has the kids, or big brother. You watch your pornography. The child comes, he takes up the tablet or the phone, he clicks in, and what pops up? Pornography. The child is so fascinated, he watches it. So we have to set a right example. We have to keep a clean home. Now, even to keep a clean home, experts say nowadays, it's not if a child will be exposed to pornography. It is when they'll be exposed to pornography. So there are other steps. You have to set some rules. One of the rules I've set, it doesn't mean a child's always going to obey it, but we should try and insist on it. Do not allow your children to be watching other people on their phones. So you're at church, and somebody has a phone in the back, a teenager, and the teenager is there clicking, and your child is busy watching that teenager click away. Do you know what the teen is clicking? You don't. So the rule is if I must not catch you looking at anybody's phone. Or you have some persons who are in the habit of lending their phone to children. Because kids, they're very digitally savvy. They love gadgets. So their hands always want to be there with gadgets. And so they take people's phone up and start to click. What will pop up is what the person watches. Once they go on Google or YouTube, there's going to be some kind of history there. And it's going to pop up. If something negative pops up, the child is going to watch it. So you shouldn't allow your children to hold other people's gadgets. So those are 2 ways. But 3, why do so many children have to have phones? I cannot understand it. I'll say I grew up without a phone. I said, but yeah, man, them days say, okay, so what? I raised my own kids. I did not give them phones until way up in their years, after CSEC. Yeah, but you're them big now. Everybody have a phone, well, art. I have a foster son. I don't give him a phone. We are overexposing the children to digital gadgets. We leave them in front of smart TVs. The children are very, very savvy with the internet. I'm going to tell you what. Each successive generation is more knowledgeable of the internet than the preceding one. So sometimes when you think you've blocked something, your child has already figured out how to clear the block and access information that you don't want him or her to see. So those smart TVs you're buying, you have to be able to monitor them. If you know you can't monitor your smart TV, buy a regular TV. There's no hurt in that. Your child is worth it. When it comes to the phones, delay giving your child a gadget. I am not convinced a child has to have a cell phone. But if you insist on the child having a cell phone, then buy something without internet access. Why does a child have a phone with internet access? Aren't we destroying our children terribly? So parents, we're destroying them our own selves. We're tearing down our kids with our own hands. We shouldn't do that. You must monitor the children if they're going to be exposed to gadgets. Check the history frequently. Sometimes must creep up in the picnic room and take a good look at what they're looking on that piece of gadget there. Surprise them. You don't come and say, hey, I'm going to come look at the history. No. You creep up and you look. You must sometimes sneak into the living room where the child is watching the TV and look at what they're looking at. Check on them. Also, big thing, you can put on software on the gadgets that block certain sites. Now, one of the things I realize, because we live in this particular age, they have homework, they have this, they have that, and they have to get some access to gadgets. But you can put a block on it for certain sites. If you know you have a tablet around or laptop or whatever, make sure you put like password on it so a child cannot gain access. So passwords, pins, software monitors, and also check in with your own eyes and ears to see what the child is doing. These all help. But I cannot leave out the fact that you need to prepare or begin to prepare your child from very early for exposure to pornography. As I said, it's not a matter of if the child will be exposed. It's when the age is structured. As a pastor, I can freely speak of the work of Satan, the devil, and the enemy's kingdom has structured this age to capture our children. And he's using a lot of sexual wickedness to do so. And so from very early, you have to begin to tell your children about pornography and about how to avoid it and to establish value in their lives. I keep encouraging people, let your children go to church. You understand, to learn values. However, we know the age we live in. I'm not naive. There are many church men and women who are also addicted to pornography because church is a hospital. So you have to choose your church carefully. Make sure the ministers have integrity. Probably in another program, we need to look at this whole aspect. How do I know my child is safe at church? I'd prefer to see you in church. But if you refuse to come, at least send your children. But you need to know you can trust your pastor and trust the children's workers. I'm going to say goodbye for now. But how do you know your child isn't on porn?